Now, how do you overcome any objections that might come up while you're making your presentation? First of all, I'm going to walk through and give you some of the top objections that have come up in the past and ways to overcome these objections. I'll go through each one of them in a bullet point format and then just show you what the question might be and then a way to respond to overcome that objection. First of all, somebody might say, I can't afford it, or we don't make quick decisions. A great response to that is say, well, I understand, but just so I really understand, other than the money, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to take care of this today? And just so I understand, is it the monthly payments that we need to adjust to better fit your budget to know that everything is taken care of today? Or they may say, well, I already have insurance. I understand. I want to congratulate you for having insurance. I really think that that is wonderful. In this day and time, you can't afford not to have insurance. And so you obviously have tried to protect your family. But what we have found is that whenever you die, the expense for your surviving spouse are going to keep going. The utility bills are going to keep coming. The food bills still have to be paid. Medical expenses are still necessary. By taking care of your final expenses, it makes your insurance that much more valuable. But just so I understand, which one of these is going to better fit your budget to know that everything else is taken care of, so you get right back to the money issue that probably is their major question. Another question that comes up is, well, let me just think about it. Well, I understand. I really know that this is a big decision. But if you think about it, only two things apply. First, are we going to need it? And secondly, can we afford it? First of all, are we going to need it? We talked about this earlier, that this is something that everyone needs. The only thing that we really have to ask then is, can you afford it? Let me ask you a question. Can you afford not to do this? And just so I understand, which one of these ways is going to better fit into your budget to know that everything is completely taken care of? You get right back to the money issue. Typically it is whatever you've planned didn't fit into their budget very well, so you want to get right back to the money issue. Or you could even say, well, I've heard this statement quite often, and many times it's because I didn't explain the plan clearly enough. Is it a certain area that you would like for me to cover again? And then what is it that you need to think over? Those are a couple of great ways to address the let me think about it need. Another question that may come up is, I need to talk to our kids. So a great way to respond to that is, I understand, but if you were to call them right now, they're going to say one of two things. First, they may say, this is your money, Mom and Dad, and you should make your own decisions, so do what you want to do. Or second, and this is really the most likely scenario, is that they're going to say, oh, Mom and Dad, don't worry about it. And the reason they say this is that they don't want to accept the fact that Mom or Dad isn't going to be here someday. You've protected them all of your life. Why would you want them to have to face the burden of making these choices on one of the most difficult times of their life? But just so I understand, are there any of these options that are going to put a hardship on you financially? Or you may say whenever they ask, I need to talk to the kids, well, I understand, but if your son and daughter called you right now and asked to help him or her plan their own final expenses, how would that make you feel? I'm sure it would just about kill you, wouldn't it? How in the world, if you feel that way about planning your own son or daughter's final expenses, do you think they're going to feel about planning yours? But just so I understand, are any of these options going to put a financial hardship on you so that we can take care of this today? Now, number 5 is an important objection that they may raise. They may say, my family would feel left out if I took care of this without them. So how you respond to that is, I can understand how you may feel this way, but let me assure you that your family will appreciate what you have done by preparing for your final expenses. This will relieve them of a financial burden when their needs are most important. Now, number 6 is they may say, well, I may move to another area. Well, that's no problem at all. This plan is totally portable, so you can take it wherever you go. Number 7, they may say, well, I'm really pretty young and I have plenty of time for this later. So a great way to respond to this is say, hopefully we will all have the time we need to plan the things that we've discussed. But unfortunately, things happen that we never planned for nor expect. The major benefit of taking care of this today is that it will provide you and your family with the peace of mind of knowing that these things are taken care of. Number 8, they may say, well, I can invest my money elsewhere for a better return. The best way to respond to that is say, well, you may be right, but if we're at the point of looking at your final expenses only as a financial investment, then we are really off track. The main reason for doing this is for you and your family's peace of mind. In addition, if you set aside the money for your final expenses in an investment, they will most likely get caught up in probate when you pass away. This means that your family will have to come up with the money to pay for your funeral and then wait to cash in that investment after the entire probate process. Number 9 is you may see the just don't care attitude. Well, Mr. and Miss Smith, I see this from time to time, and normally the reason is something other than I just don't care. Knowing that it is something that we all have to deal with at some point, why is it that you feel this way? Number 10, well, I want to go down to a local funeral home and talk to the funeral director. Well, I can appreciate you wanting to talk to your local funeral director. This plan can be used at any funeral home in the country. The best thing for you to do would be to get this plan started today and then go to your local funeral home and pick out the specific items for your funeral service, including your casket, vault, and other services. Number 11, I already have a plan at my local funeral home. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you already have started planning for your final expenses. However, as we discussed, there's 2 major parts of planning your final expenses: your funeral expenses and your family expenses. Since you've already taken care of your funeral expenses, I recommend we go ahead and take care of your family expenses today. And then finally, number 12, my children will take care of this for me. Well, I understand, but unfortunately, what happens too often is one child says, I believe that mom would have wanted her services handled this way, while the other child says, I spoke with mom a few years ago and I believe that she had wanted them handled a different way. By making these decisions early, we can eliminate any disputes, and this won't be a financial burden on your family. I hope this helps you overcome any objection that you may see in the presentation process.